Hi, Juana. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode of Destination Swish. We recently met thanks to clients in common. You're a lawyer in Marbella, so please tell me a little bit about yourself, what brought you to Marbella, what you do, and how you started your law firm.
Hi, Karen. Thank you for inviting me, first of all. So, my name is Juana. I started my own law firm a couple of years ago. I would say 3 years, I think now. Time passed so quickly. So Juana Frank and Partners is the name. And I basically was raised here. My mom is from Marbella and then my dad is German. I was working as well as a lawyer in a German law firm here in Marbella. Then a group of investors, Nordic investor, hired me in a company and then everything changed and long story short, I'm here.
So that's amazing. You basically are from Marbella. Your mom is from Marbella. Your father is German. I always wondered when I looked at your name, Juana Frank, I thought, okay, is she Spanish? But her last name doesn't sound Spanish. So you're half Spanish, half German. You were working in an established law firm, and now you own your own law firm, and you have amazing clients, mainly from the Nordic countries. This is how we met, because these clients, some of them we have in common. And you know what I found the most impressive when I met you is that you're a very young lawyer. And normally at this age, you know, typically a lawyer would start his career in a big law firm and have a very long career, sometimes forever. And you know, before they meet clients of the calibers of the ones you have already. So how do you manage that this type of clients trust you, given that you're so young? And of course, a woman, not that it's like, you know, incredibly important, but you often mention to me that when you go to the notary for a signing, very often you're the only woman, especially at your age. So what makes them trust you? Because being a lawyer, I feel, is like managing everything in someone's life.
I would say probably you need to ask them because it's very difficult to answer this, but it's a very important word or point that you mentioned here, that it's actually trust. So I was the other day in the notary with a client. She's a woman. She's super successful as well. She has a company, a project manager company here in Marbella, and we were chatting, and that was the whole point. She said to me, we don't really sell our service, project manager service, the same that you not only sell these rentals of the villas and stuff, we sell trust. So they know that they can trust me, and I don't really know how I do it. It's just I want to do it right. I put all my soul, my energy, and I guess people as human beings, they know and they can feel that. So probably, that's the reason. I need to say I never liked these big companies. I don't know why. I mean, of course they are good, and if you need something from them, but I don't really feel, I don't know, I don't want to be there. So that was very clear to me from the beginning. So
is it, you know, what made you start your own business? Is it the freedom? Is it, you know, what makes you want to be an entrepreneur, a businesswoman? Because you're a lawyer, but you also own your law firm. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like, you know, running a business, employing people, managing this organization.
So I need to say I didn't know that it was so difficult at the beginning, so maybe that's one of the reasons. And then the second is like we were talking before just doing all this about women and how they act and stuff. And one of the reasons, actually, being completely honest, is that I like to not control things, but I like to feel that I can do my own things. And that was, the primary reason, I would say, because of course, if you work with someone, you can have new ideas, you can propose them, and it's not the same as doing it yourself. And then, of course, if failure comes, it has as well the risk of, you are accountable, I would say, about whatever you did. But it gives you the freedom on basically give your business your own perspective, and that's something I really like.
And what are the challenges you faced starting your business in Marbella?
I don't know if I don't really know. I just I have a client. He's very funny, and he always says when I ask like how difficult was this and that, he's like, I don't really know. I just work. And I think that's the only answer I can give here, because I had challenges, of course, some days, and that's a very normal topic, but every quarter when you see that the taxes are coming, it's like, oh wow, like I didn't expect that. But it's the day-to-day challenges that everyone can have. That is, try to do everything at the same time, multitasking, and that's something we also spoke about. That's a strength that a woman has normally. And you were talking about of having kids. That's something I can't really relate now, but I can see how we just try to do everything at the same time.
Exactly. I also remember having a conversation with you where you told me that you've never fired anyone because you wait until they leave, and you and you said that you kind of hope that they would leave on their own. And I was telling you that it's something that I struggled with as well, but I'm getting very good at because I forced myself to learn this. And I think for me personally, this has been one challenge. Of course, recruiting good people is also always a big challenge, especially in a town like Marbella, because it's not a big city and people here are, they're here to work, of course, but there is a lot of temptations, I would say. So to recruit talent is always a challenge, but sometimes also we don't get it right in the recruitment process because it's a skill that I think is acquired. Some people are very good at it, but I am very impulsive. I take decisions very quickly, and I recruit fast. I'm trying to take my time and to complicate the recruitment process, but at the end of the day, if someone walks into the door and I like them, I might give them a job that day, and sometimes I regret it. But I have taught myself to take a decision also quick and tell them that it's not going to work for different reasons. But for me personally, this was one of the challenges. I also wanted to ask you, I started Swish because it was the only option for me was to start my own business in a town where I couldn't practice as a lawyer. I have studied law, and in London I worked in a private bank in Credit Suisse. So for me, starting a business was the only option. But you already had a job in an established company firm. What gave you the confidence and the strength to leave this and to say, it's true that it helped that you already had the client, that's for sure. When I started, I didn't have the client, and you already had a powerful client. But what gave you the strength? Who encouraged you and said, go for it?
I think here of a few people. One of them is my business partner, that basically we became business partner because he basically was like, you should do it, don't think about it. And that's related as well with something that my mom says. It's always, if you think about the bad side of the things, you never do it. So I would say that was it. And then in another side, probably it was also out of necessity, because the firm I was in at that time, they wanted to do some changes, so I knew that I wanted to do something different, and then at the same time all the changes came. So it was like perfect timing.
Timing is very, very important. We talked about being a woman, business, being a mom. I recently was invited to a talk, to a conference, and the subject I was supposed to discuss was how is it to run a business as a woman and how different it is to running the business as a man. And the first thing I said in that conference is that I don't know how it is to run the business as a man. I am a woman, and I've always run the business how I thought was best. It's one of the things that you do in life that no one tells you how to do it, and it's something that you have to learn on the go. And for me personally, when I started Swish, it was quite naive, but I remember saying, okay, I'm going to check if the name is available. I like the name. And then I registered the name, and then I went to the bank and I said, I want to open an account because I'm starting a business. And then I thought, okay, what's the next step? And I asked the banker.
And I remember the most exciting steps of the business were like these little ones at the
things,
beginning.
Or starting a website and asking my banker, okay, I have the name, I have the bank account, I have the website, what's next? And he said, are you asking me? Like, you should know what's next. And it's all these little moments, I think, in life.
And it's quite scary to think about it.
It's scary, but then, of course, you have a website, and I wrote to the whole website, but I didn't have the homes yet, and not even the tenant. This was like far in the future. So it's all very scary, but I also feel like it's the most natural thing in the world, because it's true that no one will give you basically a book of procedure and say, okay, this is how your job. This is what your job involves. This is what you're supposed to do every day. No one tells you anything, but also you need to give the impression to everyone you recruit in those early
That you
days
know what you're
that you've
doing.
got it when actually you don't.
Yeah.
And I think it's all about like winging it as you go at the beginning, for me at least. And you know, I sometimes, you know, have in the recruitment process some people who are incredibly experienced from very, very big hotel chains. We get a lot of applicants from hospitality, and they say, okay, so can you just list everything I have to do? And this is when I think this is not the right profile for me, because what you have to do will change every day, and we do everything and nothing at the same time. At the moment, I'm very, very involved in operations because summer is here, but in the winter, I'm more focused on business development, on strategy, even on legal and fiscal things. I have an accountant, I have lawyers, but I do everything. So it's really, you know, fun, I think, and exciting.
Yeah, and then you can't answer the question. That makes me think, because when I did the interview with my paralegal now, she's great, and she then recognized to me that she was trying to gain time just to think about the proposal and stuff, and she asked me like, can you please do me like a list of more or less my tasks? And then it was a couple months ago that. It was January or so, and we were carrying like IKEA furniture for the new office, like in heels. That was like a bit a crazy moment. And I said to her, like, never again ask me what are your tasks, because I don't know. And she was laughing. Yeah, that's not a good question. It's because at the end of the day, you do everything. And of course, and that's something I learned as well. It's okay to just ask for help. I mean, and that's we can connect to other things. It's the network. So it's very important to have a really good network, and that's one of the reasons that make me just reach you for basically a coffee and stuff, because it was quite impressive for me that thinking about the point of view of being a woman, also having your own business and having you did everything on your own somehow, and then of course you are not from here, so it should be even more difficult. So yeah.
I mean, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate it. But I also feel like, not to show like fake humility or anything, but I feel like Marbella does make it easy because people are very nice here. I mean, I cannot think about any other city in the world where you can call your banker and say, you know, hi Mark, I have an issue, I'm trying to make this payment and it's stuck, please, it's urgent, you have to help me. And he will say, okay, I'm at lunch, but give me an hour and I'll look into it. Or I think that you have those people who are so welcoming, who don't care where you come from, and who are ready to help. And, you know, and this is not just like work related. When I'm at work, sometimes I'll think, okay, I forgot to plan dinner for my kids. I message my butcher. I'll say, can you please prepare this for me? On my way back, I'll WhatsApp you. You'll come, you'll give it to me in the car, and then I'll rush home and I'll pay you tomorrow. It's like all this system of people who are actually willing to help you. And I truly feel that in Marbella. I feel like, you know, I'm so supported by people and that I've never met before, and for no reason whatsoever. And I'm very grateful, and I want to give it back, and I don't know how, because people are so generous and so kind.
Yeah, and it comes from the soul.
Yeah,
it's nothing that you can pay
so,
even.
So I cannot take credit for starting a business and being successful in Marbella. Of course, I worked very, very hard, but people make it easy. And going back on what you said about networking, I never really networked because I don't have a lot of time. I work very, very intensely at home. So I work from 9:30 to about 4 every day. Then I leave because I have to do kids-related activities, pick them up, take them to places, dinner. But then I work a lot in the evening as well. So I don't network. I've never been to an open house ever, you know, and it's not, you know, that relevant in my business. But how do you network? Like when you say networking is important, how was it important for you and how did you do it?
I need to say one of my ways of doing network, I would say probably through my own clients. I always say, and that it's related to trust and everything that we already talked about. But I always say I know the name of the kids of every of my clients, so that makes the difference. And that's how, for example, playing paddle with them, so they invited me to personal things, and that's how. But I don't really network. I don't think I'm going to do some network or
You
something.
network naturally.
Yeah.
That's a problem for me because I can't play paddle. And I don't know
will
the
invite
names.
you one day.
You have to teach me. I can't play any sport. I can't even ride a bike, but I would love to learn.
But I said
But-
you can't say no. It's like if you do it, you will get to the point that
But
you
that's
play.
amazing that, so basically you do networking without, intending to network. It's just natural and it's word of mouth. This is also our channel of marketing at Swish. We've never really invested in, Google AdWords or anything like that. It's basically our owners recommend us to their friends. Same thing with tenants. I get messages from people saying, "Hi, I'm Lamia. I was recommended by Lamis or whoever," and I don't even sometimes know who they are because it's, it compounds over the years, and we've been running Swish for 5 years, and it's all the friends, and it makes me so happy because it means that we're doing something right. But the other thing is that, when you came to Swish, you told me, yeah, like it's mainly like a female-led team. Everyone is a woman here, so how come? And it's also something I never thought about. But then we discussed so much being a woman in business, which is not something, it's not a cause I've carried to be like a feminist, or because I never thought it was a thing, especially not in Europe where, women have the same rights, etc. But it's true that I feel like women do things differently and some things better. Not, I'm sure like men also do some things better. I don't know what, but I'm sure they
I
do.
remember when I was back, sorry to interrupt you, but back to the office when we met, we all just look at the web page and stuff, and I was with my business partner there, and he said like, without any intention, was not good or bad or anything. She said like it's a very feminine website, and for me it was such a compliment. It's so nice to say that because of course, and I realized I know what he was meaning, because you can feel like home, like super calm. So it's you bring something
Thank
to
you
it.
so much for saying that. I mean, the website for me was actually a lot of stress because when I started, Swish, I went to a very important agency in Barcelona, and they developed the website of very, very important brands. And I thought, okay, if they've done it for these, multinationals, of course can do an amazing job for Swish. And I really didn't like it after investing, a lot of money. But then, I found someone local and I worked really very closely with him to develop the website of Swish. But I really love the fact that you say it's feminine. I think, in hospitality, it's really important that the energy is feminine because hospitality, it's about home. It's about hosting people, about making them feel at home, nurturing, their stay, their needs. So thank you so much for saying that.
We were even, I remember now, maybe I can connect with this, but when you prepare a house, if being a woman and being so emotional, you can feel how your guest will be. And that's how you prepare the house in that case. And it's the same for me. For example, I remember even a client, he called me, I was in Mallorca in the middle of a beach, like nowhere, no signal, no nothing. I was like, yeah, I will call you back in 2 hours because now I can't really talk. And then I remember I went back, we did a rental contract, it was okay, he was very happy. And then the last question was, because pets were forbidden, the last question is, we have like a little mouse, can you include that in the contract? So it's you feel, because of course I knew that he had a son and he wanted the son to be happy, and it could be like a whole drama not to have the mouse in the house.
I hope it was a hamster, not like a mouse.
I hope so.
Mouse.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
yeah, but it's the
strange.
same if you know, for example, that a family is coming here, so you prepare probably everything as like a family environment, which is the also the emotional part of being a woman that is put like we just transfer it into the business.
You're a very good listener. You really truly put yourself in the shoes of the client, and you're always available, which is also something we discussed. We are, as women, I feel like sometimes people pleaser. We want to say yes to everything. But where does it stop? Like, how do we, say, okay, this is the limit? Do you try to establish somehow a work and life balance?
I'm not sure. Like, it's difficult for me. In one side, I need to say, like, after COVID and everything, people, it's more they have like normalized the work-life balance. That means, for example, I can say to my clients perfectly, if they call me, let's say Friday 2 p.m. and was my mom's birthday, I can say, look, I'm in a lunch, but I will be back as soon as I'm home. And normally they are okay. And if there is a a saying of my mom that it's, if you don't like it, don't look at it. And it's something that it's true. So yeah, and they normally, after I said COVID, that you can work everywhere and you're working all the time, and I think we found somehow the balance is easier, and it's an important point to mention here. But then I'm very bad saying no to things. So normally I get super tired, but I do everything for everyone. So yeah, we are kind of pleasers as well. In that,
Exactly.
yeah,
No,
sense.
I agree, and this is how I've always been. But at the moment, I'm working on changing that and on learning how to say no, but also learning how to manage expectations. So basically, I feel like a part of running a business is also kind of educating, your clients, or telling them, you know what, I am available during this time. If it's urgent, you can still reach me. But if it's not urgent and it's, 12 p.m. on a Sunday, maybe it's something we can discuss on a Monday. But yeah, it doesn't come very obvious to us as women, and we feel the need to explain, to justify. Even if, my son is invited to a birthday, I feel the need to tell the mom that we can't go because, we're traveling or we're busy, and I give her the real reason why I'm not going, while, a no thank you is, enough. But it's also, I get, the way we get close to people and we can establish a connection by being so open, so reachable, and there for them.
And that's also the trust that we can bring to the business, because yeah, it's, as said, we have been talking as well about being in the beach or even in the pool and then taking up a phone or a phone call, whatever. But it's, maybe you can't even solve the problem at that point of the day, but you can say, look, I will fix it. Just relax, everything will be okay, and then they are okay with that as well. And then of course, I think the technology nowadays make it harder normally, because of course they know that they can reach you anytime. So I guess in the past with fax and stuff, of course you had like 3 days just to answer, and now they send you an email and then they're already sending you a WhatsApp, have you seen the email? And it's like no. So yeah, it's
yeah, for me WhatsApp is the worst, because people do expect an instant response from you, and I'm quite bad. Like, I'm even if I'm having dinner with my kids, I do have the tendency to, if I get a message from my team, I get worried. I want to see what's going on. Is there a problem? Especially in our industry where things can go wrong in so many ways. I'm always on edge, and it's something that I truly need to work on to basically calm down. I'm getting much better at this. I'm really much calmer than I used to be.
I need to learn.
And
still.
I think this industry really, truly makes you stronger. I have like much thicker skin now after 5 years running this business. It's always like dog years. 5 years is like 20 years. I don't know in this in Swish, but it's true that being a woman is a strength. A few years ago, I met a collaborator in Marbella who runs a similar business as I do, and he said, you have amazing villas, let's maybe co-list them, because you're a mom, you have 3 kids, you will never be able to work as hard as I do. And his intentions were good, but I remember that moment thinking, you cannot outwork me. It's true I have kids, but I will be there, I will be hardworking, and I will bring this to a success. And yeah, and it's fun, and it's true that the team now is mainly women. We're 18 people, and I think 2 or 3 men out of the 18 people, but I love working with women. And it's not intentional, it's just that I feel like in every situation they were the best fit for the role.
I remember, that remembers me that my paralegal has basically put in like in a file all the CVs we have for a new role basically, and then she said to me, choose what you think it will fit to the role, and then we can start the interviews. I will send the emails and stuff. And then when I realized everyone was female, I mean, we didn't even receive so much CVs from a man, which is just.
Do you think maybe the paralegal role is normally?
I think so, because it's somehow you need to take care of clients and you need to be very
organized.
Yeah.
Admin, it's admin heavy role.
And then it's well emotional, because I can see, and that's of course something that I find very good from men, so that they can be
Transactional.
yeah, and that's good. I can't.
I mean, I have a bit of that in me as well. Like, I feel like I'm also, maybe, I don't know if I'm emotional. I'm definitely empathetic with people, but I'm also very transactional. I like to close deals. And I think it's something that being a woman shouldn't be that, we can do business as well. I love, basically doing good and closing deals and calling my owner saying we have a big rental or we have just like signed a new contract. But it's true that men are more on that side of things.
Yeah.
They're transactional. They, it's like yes or no, and something.
Let's say that it come easier to them
Yeah.
to work in that way, and then I think for women it's more easier to just put more emotions on it, which is not bad at all. I also was thinking that in the past it was like a bad thing to say that you put emotion in your business, but now it's like it's really
it's a superpower. It makes
can
you
be.
put yourself in the client's shoes, like predict their needs, understand things from their perspective as well. But I don't know if this also makes us overthink, worry. Maybe there's also like a little negative side from.
Yeah, how many times we have like had like no sleep in the whole night, and then it was just fixed in 10 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah, this is something that probably comes, as part of the package. And do you feel like, women in general in Marbella are supportive of other women? What's your experience?
I think so. I think we, as you said, people is very open in Marbella. Of course, we know how the business normally works here. It's a completely different perspective than in the rest of Spain. I remember someone that works in the notary, he told me once that they hired someone from Córdoba, which is a bigger city than Marbella, of course. And he said, no, we can't accept power of attorney from outside of Spain to sign. And then the notary was like, then I'm doing everything wrong for the last 10 years. So we know what's happening, and people is very open to, of course, an international approach.
It's a very
here.
international place. It's not Spanish at all, in my opinion. And this year at Swish, we're trying to bring back the Spanish experience into our guest experience, because they're here to experience Spain. So we're doing a lot of Spanish activities, and even our gifts are now more in line with offering a very special olive oil or something Spanish. But it's true that it's a melting pot, and this is also what's beautiful about this place.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that they come to Spain to see also the warmth and that we help each other. And actually, another funny thing that I remember now, I was with a client in his office, and was another client of him there. This client is from the Nordics, so from Sweden, and this woman, I think she was from South America somewhere. And we were laughing because they don't really talk, for example, when they are in the lift just waiting to get to the floor or whatever, they don't talk between them. And here, if you meet someone, as you said, in the bank or even, I don't know, going to do your groceries, you find someone and you talk, you explain like your whole life, your day, I'm super stressed, I'm super happy, that happened. So yeah, it's a way as well to connect to people. And
people are very open.
And that's also Spain, even if it's not, I don't know, an olive oil or just these big parties or whatever, but that's how you should as well experience Spanish
people. It's an amazing life we have here. It's before you said someone called you at 8:30 in the afternoon. For me it's the evening, but this tells you a lot about being a Spanish person. It's dinners are at 11 p.m. The night is long. And it's a nice way to live. It's true that our lives are hectic because we want to do so much in such a little time, and we're always rushing. But when you stop and look around, it's a blessing to be here.
Yeah, it's very beautiful to be here.
So you mentioned that when you started your business, you told your mom that you wanted to leave your firm and just start your own business. And what did your mom say?
She always is with me on whatever I do, even if I'm wrong. Like she said, like just go, and then if I need to cry, she's there. But that makes me think about that I was the other day doing my daily walk, and I was listening to a podcast. She's a Spanish lady that it's doing now like a lot of interviews to other people, and then I listened to 3 different podcasts. She was interviewing a really known Spanish actress, then Eva Longoria and Sofia Vergara. And one of the big questions she makes all the time is, how do you come to be such a strong, successful woman? And the answer, more or less in different contexts, of course, was, because I'm surrounded, or I was, when I was a child, for very strong women. And that's even if they were housewives or whatever, but they were very strong. So that's something that we also bring into business. That and if you have a backup of seeing other women fighting for whatever it is in life, you can also take it as motivation, I would say.
I think it's maybe something we don't, I don't think we give them enough credit, but maybe, in the back, it's them basically. We've seen them do things, right or wrong, but overcome all the challenges in life. My mom is also a very strong woman, and we grew up in the war, and she's a dentist, and I've seen her start and stop and start again and again and again, despite all the challenges that life brings you. And I definitely agree with being raised by a strong woman or having strong women around. And I hope to be like a strong woman in my daughter's life, but also in my team, and an inspiration. I hope that would make me very, very happy. It's such a beautiful thing to pass on. But I think the job you do is incredibly important. Yesterday, our contract is, a Spanish side. The contract we sign with our tenant is Spanish and English. The Spanish version is the official one, and the English one is for information purposes only. But it was translated by a Spanish lawyer, and there was a part that says that if your behavior is unhealthy or annoying, we can terminate the contract. And of course, this is not what they meant, but I had an agent in New York who called me. He's like, Karen, you probably think we don't read the contract, but I just spent half an hour reading the contract, and I'm very worried. If my client eats pizza and he's annoying, are you going to terminate the contract? So what you do is an incredible, important job, because no matter what we do in business, you need a lawyer to facilitate this, to give you a contract that is commercial, that people are happy to sign, whilst protecting, of course, the interests of your client. So I really admire what you do, and the fact that you're a young woman and in business and being incredibly successful. So thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you, Juana.